The world's been watching Venezuela's crisis unfold. And then, bam, just like that, Nicolas Maduro is captured, his whole regime comes crashing down. You'd think this would be a time for celebration, a new beginning, but instead, there's this weird, really unsettling silence.
And that right there, that's the big question we're trying to figure out. You've got the person who should be Venezuela's new leader, a celebrated Nobel laureate, and the US president who made it all happen. And they're not talking to each other. So why? What in the world does this silence mean for a country that's hanging by a thread?
So on one side, you have Maria Corina Machado. She's a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and she's promising to rebuild her country from the ground up. And on the other side, you've got President Donald Trump, the guy who literally orchestrated Maduro's removal. I mean, these two should be the closest allies imaginable. But instead, there's this very public tension, with Trump even questioning if she's the right person for the job.
And get this, the amount of time they've been silent is just wild. We're talking 88 days. Think about that. From October 10th all the way to January 6th, not a single direct call between Maria Corina Machado and the White House. I mean, this is the most crucial moment for her country, and it's just radio silence.
Okay, so to really get what's going on with this tension, we have to hit rewind for a second and look at the crazy chain of events that got us here in the first place. How did the Maduro regime actually fall?
This timeline really shows you how fast everything went down. So October 10th, that's when the communication just stops. Then, fast forward to January 3rd, and boom, a super quick US military op grabs Nicolas Maduro. And just 3 days after that, Machado is in the public eye, giving the mission a thumbs up and promising she's on her way back to Venezuela.
And Machado is really clear about why this had to happen. She doesn't frame it as some kind of coup. For her, it was the absolute last resort. She's basically saying the regime wouldn't budge, wouldn't negotiate, so the only option left was this kind of forceful action to restore human dignity. It's a pretty powerful justification for what was, let's face it, a very controversial move.
So Maduro's gone. And what happens when a leader like that is suddenly removed? You get a power vacuum, and it happened almost instantly. Suddenly you have all these different people trying to claim control, and it kicks off this whole new fight for Venezuela's future.
Machado, for her part, drew a line in the sand right away. When Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, tried to step up and say, "Hey, I'm the interim leader now," Machado was having none of it. She basically said, "No way, you were part of the problem," and made it crystal clear that the only legitimate authority comes from the democratic opposition that she leads. So this is the really interesting part. If they both wanted the old regime gone, what is actually causing this split between Machado and Trump? Well, if you ask political analysts, the answer is kind of shocking. It has to do with one of the most famous awards on the planet.
Yeah, the Nobel Peace Prize. Apparently, when Machado won it back in 2025, the Trump administration saw it as, well, a problem. Reports suggest they felt all that international praise was just a distraction from the strategy that they were running to get Maduro out of power.
And that tension has now hardened into two completely different ideas for what should happen next. Machado is firm. I have a mandate from the Venezuelan people, and I'm ready to lead. President Trump, on the other hand, is floating a totally different plan, a temporary US-led administration to, stabilize things first. So you have two supposed allies with two totally different roadmaps for the future.
And that brings us to today, to this incredibly shaky moment. You've got a power vacuum in Venezuela, a fractured alliance on the outside, and the road ahead is anything but clear. Is this going to be a rebirth for the country, or are we just watching a new kind of chaos begin?
At the end of the day, the whole situation is just unbelievably fragile. You have different groups inside Venezuela fighting for the top spot. At the same time, their biggest ally, the United States, is publicly doubting the leader of the opposition. That combination is a recipe for a highly volatile, unpredictable transition. But even with all this uncertainty, Machado's vision is still incredibly powerful. Her goal isn't just about politics, it's about the very soul of the nation. And this quote, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? It's a promise to bring the millions of Venezuelans who fled back home and to rebuild a nation from the ashes. It's this massive message of hope right in the middle of all this anxiety.
So that's where we are. We're left with this huge open question. Who is going to write Venezuela's next chapter? Will it be Maria Corina Machado with her Nobel Prize and what she says is a mandate from the people? Or will it be a US-led government, focused on stability over everything else? The future of an entire nation is hanging in the balance, and honestly, nobody knows how this story ends.